This video is meant to showcase a project I'm working on for my mobile and casual game development class. This is my first time making a mobile game, and I do actually have the build running on a mobile device, but for demonstration purposes, I'm running the PC build because there's some optimizations I need to make for the mobile build before I want to start throwing it out there. The current state of the game is much more mechanical than aesthetic. So there's not, this is a very bare bones menu. It's just kind of getting the point across. As I develop the project later in the semester, I'm going to really try and add flair that makes this feel like a fun game. Right now, I just have a basic screen telling the player how the game works. It's a pretty simple game. Each level has a number of honey jars that need to be collected for the player to win. But on each level, there are also these bears kind of randomly roaming around, so the player has to evade the bears while trying to collect all the honey. If you touch a bear, you lose. The kind of core mechanic about this game is that it's the maps are grid-based, so there's just a grid of tiles, so you move from one tile to the next, and every time you move, the bears also move. So every time you take a step, you kind of want to look to see where all the bears are and where they might move so you don't come into contact with them. The number of moves is also tracked, so you can try and I would like to have like a high score system, so you could be like tracking how efficiently you can complete each level. There's also a option to just stand still, but when you press the button, it also counts as a move, so that the player can't just stand in one space and wait for them to move on. With this move mechanic, I can also have how Angry Birds and a lot of mobile games have like a star system. So you have to complete the level in a certain number of moves to get a rating for the level, and you unlock later levels by getting at least like 1 or 2 stars on each level beforehand. So at the moment with this current build, I have 3 levels. I have the project set up so I can just pick prefabs of tiles and free form each map, so it's really not that hard to make a new map. But for the current the build, I'm just going to start with 3 levels and develop more later on. So I'm just going to run through each one to show the gameplay. As I said, it's not a very pretty game yet. I made very basic models so that you can tell what's going on. So in the top left here, it shows the number of honey jars that there are in the level, these 3 honey jars, as well as how many the player has currently collected. I have this button right here, which I need to signify more that what it does, but you can click it to change between these 2 perspectives. So these are models I made for bears and for the player, and trees to serve as obstacles, and these honey jars. This is the interface that the player uses to move, so these obviously serve to move the player, and this button serves to stand still. The D-pad here changes depending on what perspective you're on. I need to make an adjustment so that this text doesn't get covered up. So as I move, I'm going to move left 1, and the bears will randomly either stand still or they'll just randomly move to an adjacent place. So I can move left, and they both moved. So I pretty much just need to keep an eye out for these 4 positions. Well, not this one because there's a tree there. So I'm pretty much clear to move left again. Oh, now there's a bear right in front of me, and if I stand still, he could come into me. So I'm going to try and move down because he can't move in a diagonal. See, yeah, he's giving chase. Holy cow. So there's 1 jar collected. Bears can stand on honey. I'm going to try and find a way so that this doesn't look so weird and he just isn't being impaled by a jar. So I'm going to move up here. Face to face with death. Oh man. So I would like to implement a line of sight mechanic too, so that if a bear sees the player, they'll start making a way towards them. So that's why occasionally when they stand still, they'll just turn. Sometimes they'll just face a random direction. That's because I want the player to try and stay out of the line of sight, and you can try and hide behind trees and other obstacles I might have. So I've collected all 3. It keeps track of how many moves I made. And you can either retry or just go straight to the next level. So we got level 2 here, and now there's 4 jars of honey, and I made the layout of the map a little bit more interesting. Oh dear. So this third level, I've actually given this build out to a couple of friends I have, and they did some playtesting to bring back some nice data about bugs and such. One such bug is that there's actually another column of tiles on the right here that are outside of the bounds of the camera. So I'm going to switch to this mode so I can actually see. So I would like for this bear to try and move out of the way, so I'm just going to stand here and wait and see what he does. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, now my move counters are just going up. There we go. Now I can try and move this way and down. I'm thinking about also adding maybe some unlockable items that the player can gain access to maybe like a little taser or bear spray if I don't want to upset PETA, to disable a bear temporarily so you can get by. Maybe a box you can hide in so that they can't see you. So yeah, 81 moves. That is a terrible run, so I could theoretically try and play it again to get a better score. 83. Wow, that didn't really go better. I'm going to show what happens when you get hit by a bear just to show what I've got thus far for my project. So as I come face to face with death, I'm going to charge into this bear, and you lose. You can either retry, go back to the main menu, or rage quit. So that's what I've got for this game thus far. I'll be developing it later in the semester as my final project for this class, and I look forward to see what it turns into. I'm excited to work on it.